world in which only a few can afford housing is not sustainable. Everyone deserves a safe place to live. It can transform the quality of life of individuals and families. Today, however, most cities around the world are facing major challenges in providing safe and adequate housing for their people, especially cities that are growing rapidly and where the affordable housing options are limited. Nigerians have had to live with promises of housing for all by the year 2000, 2010, 2015 and even 2020, and the dates will continue to change if an enabling environment for affordable housing are not developed and if the right policies and political will are not in place to make it happen. Welcome to another informative episode of Housing Development, a program focused on the provision of adequate, accessible and affordable housing for Nigerians. I am Flora Ani, your housing diva. Let's see the news making rounds in the sector. I'll be back shortly.
The Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria has decried its inability to bring legal action against non-professionals who are mostly to blame for the country's rising building collapse rates, as they have urged the National Assembly to swiftly enact the National Building Code so regulators could hold quack engineers accountable. President of Koren, Ali Rabiu, made this known during a meeting with the president of some professional organizations in the council chambers in Abuja recently. According to him, in order to curb the incessant building collapse bringing embarrassment to the built environment, there was the need for law enforcement and compliance of the approved National Building Code by the National Assembly that must be strictly complied with by all state governments. The Nigerian Institute of Town Planners (NITP) is set to hold the 53rd edition of its annual general meeting and national conference as part of its commitment to allowing for increased sustainable development in the town planning profession as well as the built and construction industry, scheduled to hold in Abuja from November 7 to 11, 2022. According to the first National Vice President of the Institute, Town Planner Nathaniel Atebije, who also doubles as the chairman of the 2022 National Conference Planning Committee for the event, the conference, themed Physical Planning and Urban Security in Nigeria, Issues, Challenges and Prospects, will strengthen the Institute's awareness mechanisms towards prioritizing planning to drive socioeconomic development, peace and national security as town planners, political actors, lawmakers and professionals across various fields will discuss pressing issues relating to the built and construction industry. The Guardian newspaper, in collaboration with Africa International Housing Show, organizers of the largest housing and construction event in Africa, and Eye on Housing, a national home builders association, will on the 3rd of October release a special report on the Nigeria's real estate industry, a collection of outstanding real estate companies crucial to Nigeria's housing industry. The top 60 real estate CEOs of 2022 will be revealed in these special publications, as the study aims at addressing fundamental problems in the housing sector, evaluate federal government intervention, provide countrywide housing needs information, and most importantly, define political agendas for candidates running for political office in the run-up to the 2023 general elections. Dynamic Mayor Edge Nigeria Limited, one of Nigeria's fastest growing real estate company, has recently celebrated its 5 years of building and constructing affordable luxury in Abuja. Speaking on the company's achievements over the years, built on integrity and quality building materials, Managing Director, Dynamic Mayor Edge Estates, Mr. Olumayowa Olurise, was greatly satisfied with the marching progress as the company, with records of great edifices cutting across different parts of Abuja, including Games Village, Apo and Lokogoma. He, however, appreciated staff and management of the company as they have contributed immensely to the growth and development of the Mayor Edge Estate, with the aim to spread its durable structures all over Nigeria and across the globe.
Housing News, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. On Saturday, 1st October, Nigeria will be celebrating her 62nd independence. As Nigerians and Nigeria celebrate this day, what is the hope for the common man to own a home? What has been the progress of home ownership of Nigerians, especially civil servants? These Nigerians have this to say to the government.
We've not done much in terms of housing, so a lot more needs to be done to uplift Nigerian standard of living as regards housing. Now, there's a big problem when it comes to this issue of providing houses for low-income earners in Nigeria, because at the end of the day, it's those who are well-to-do who come over and buy these houses, meaning that the people whom these houses are meant for at the end of the day do not enjoy them because the cost is not actually that low.
We need good accommodation, particularly the civil servants who are the workforce of the nation need good things. When you have a place to lay your head that is convenient, it will make you to work well. But when your place of living is not conducive enough, you cannot sleep well, there's no security, you cannot relax in your house. It will also affect whatever you do, emotionally, psychologically, and otherwise. It will affect person all around. My advice to the government of the Federation of Nigeria is they should improve in the production. Making affordable the houses. One, give the civil servants opportunity to be able to afford the accommodation necessary for them. Government should help at least subsidize the price for civil servants.
It's bad because before you find a civil servant today, a government who called himself a government worker that is not a businessman, to put up a roof over his head, at least you're supposed to, at least, let's say, you steal for somewhere. Because if you are basing on the salary, you don't have it. At least if government can do this for the low-carding people, are you getting me right? Down. Maybe for now, maybe about that kind of 12 to 13 years for you be going. Then you have about 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom. They start remitting from your money to where you go. At least it's better.
Look at what Federal Housing Authority is doing. We are not even hearing much. We are not hearing much about them. Even Federal Mortgage Bank, they are not doing enough. They may be working, but the Nigerians are not feeling what they are doing because, for instance, in Abuja, it is very bad for somebody to rent a 1-bedroom apartment for close to $1 million in the city.
We know that we have what is called the Ministry of Works and Housing. How are they really provided a housing or affordable housing to the people? We equally have what we call Federal Mortgage Bank. How are they faring with the civil servants? Not just civil servants, individuals, Nigerians. So it is my sincere advice to the government and the authority concerned that if we want to see a better Nigeria, they must come out clean. Sincerity must be. Most of us travel outside there, we know what it takes. If you travel outside here, I want to just spend even a month, I can get a house to stay. Affordable.
Affordable, accessible and livable accommodation is very paramount for the well-being of the low-income Nigerian, especially as we celebrate 62nd Independence Anniversary in a few days. Let's look for some practical solutions to home ownership issues of low-income Nigerians. Welcome back. 62 years of housing development in Nigeria. Let's take a drive down memory lane. Since Nigeria's independence in 1960, the nation's housing sector, like most critical sectors of the country's economy, has experienced some twists and turns, with housing deficit put above 20 million. It is a fact that housing has been in short supply. The National Technical Working Committee under the housing thematic area of the Vision 2020 was inaugurated on 18th April 2009 during the regime of late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. They were asked to make recommendations towards the contribution of housing to Vision 2020 goal of the federal government. Part of the vision was to make housing available to all Nigerians by the year 2020 and also rebrand the housing sector as one of the top 3 contributors to the nation's economy by adding 10 million decent and affordable homes to the national housing stock. The overall target for the sector was to contribute to Nigerians' quest to achieve a gross domestic product of $900 billion with an annual growth of 15% by 2020. Also, the federal government had promised to provide housing for all Nigerians with the acronym Housing for All by the year 2000, but failed serially to meet up with the target. The 2012 National Housing Policy, which also aimed at providing affordable housing for Nigerians, was drafted during the tenure of former President Goodluck Jonathan. The policy didn't yield positive results. Now to the present administration. The administration of President Muhammadu Buhari had in 2016 promised to embark on a national housing program across the 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. What has been the progress of this? During an interactive session on the state of Nigerian housing sector at 62, these stakeholders say collaboration and access to finance are key to an improved housing sector. Have a look.
With a fast-growing population, estimated at about 200 million, Nigeria, as a key player in housing across Africa, presents lots of possibilities and opportunities that domestic or foreign investors should see as a compelling destination for investment. Despite the objection by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, statistics abound that validate reports that the country's housing deficit is over 20 million and counting. During an interactive session on the state of Nigeria's housing sector, leading stakeholders say even at 61, Nigeria still has an opportunity to recreate its approach to housing delivery to help the nation create the right collaborative window that will ensure the delivery of affordable homes to middle and low-income earners.
I've never been of two minds, By the grace of God, I've been working in the housing sector for the last 20 odd years, perhaps a little more. And my goal has really been very, very clear. The low income. If we cannot meet the needs of the poorest in the society, then we're not yet there. I mean, we're only as strong as the weakest link, like they say. Our focus really should be on ordinary people. I find that because it seems so difficult to do, most people, developers, policymakers, governments are running away from it, But I'm totally impressed with His Excellency, the Vice President, who is a total advocate of ensuring that ordinary people, and when I say ordinary people, I mean the entire mass, people who earn even the minimum wage, are able somehow to access basic or decent housing. Nobody should have to stay out and be beaten by the elements. I think what we can do, the best thing that we can do, is to advocate for these people. I mean, the rest will take care of itself once we've taken care of that level.
Some giant strides in housing development within the first 2 decades after independence include the first National Development Plan of 1962 to 1968, which saw Nigeria at a younger age establishing a state-owned housing corporation which was for the provision of urban infrastructure and industrial estates in 3 key regions: Southwest, Southeast, and the North. This also saw the establishment of the Federal Housing Authority FHA, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, and National Housing Program (NHP) to construct about 59,000 housing projects. Unfortunately, all these efforts are slowly amounting to something significant due to factors that include policy reversals, lack of an effective mortgage system, and poor infrastructure development.
We're probably not where we want to be, but we're significantly further ahead from where we were. So there is quite a lot of progress. There is more to do. And I think that what I see is a concerted effort by various partners, various stakeholders, but more significantly, for the first time, I think since independence, I can see that housing is occupying a central role in government policy and an increasing recognition that housing has a role to play in lifting Nigerians out of poverty and in developing our economy. And I think that is a big, big achievement.
There are two things that we must do urgently about the sector. Number one is that we have to commoditize housing. We have to get to a level that people are able to buy and sell houses the same way they buy bread on the streets. We have to streamline the legal framework such that people are enabled to buy housing. We have to convert houses to stocks that you can buy. But today, the legal framework is so unfriendly that once you manage to build a house, when you even think of the perfection process, when you think of all the issues around it, you just leave it as it is. So we are unable to commoditize housing. The second thing is that we have to industrialize the process. Today, we're still building houses. We have to start manufacturing houses. The only way we can get close to reducing the deficit is we have to start manufacturing houses. We have to standardize the process. All these that we are still calling Baba Sharafa, Baba Toi, Baba Tower, as bricklayers, and it can only take us so far. And people make the mistake, and people make the mistake to say that if you industrialize the process, it leads to employment. That's not correct. As a matter of fact, it has a multiplier effect on the entire value chain, because all you do is either you prefab or you standardize your building blocks, and you are still able to deliver. We are able to deliver faster, we are able to deliver better, we are able to deliver with greater efficiency and efficacy. That is where we need to go.
Meanwhile, stakeholders have also urged the federal government under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari to prioritize infrastructure development, including, but not limited to, the construction of quality roads, improved and affordable transport system, and provision of constant electricity to aid housing development.
There you have it, assessment of the housing sector by major stakeholders in the industry. We must not relent in our effort in making the housing sector one that will contribute immensely to the nation's GDP as we build more low-cost, affordable houses for Nigerians. You're watching Housing Development. Welcome back. The program is Housing Development. As we prepare to celebrate Nigeria at 62, let's revisit this throwback interview with Lailani Faha, former UN Special Rapporteur and currently Global Director of SHIFT. In analyzing and assessing Nigerians' housing needs, she says slum upgrade is needed in Nigeria to ensure a healthy living. Take a look.
Nigeria is facing a lot of challenges, I'll be honest. I've had the opportunity to visit Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. And I've been to informal settlements in particular, where the bulk of the population of the country actually lives. So here you reference them as slums. In the international world, we call them informal settlements. And I have to admit I've been quite concerned, deeply concerned, I'd say, by the conditions that I've seen in some of those informal settlements. People living without access to the basics. And we all know what we need for a life of dignity, which is what the right to adequate housing really means. It's the right to live somewhere in dignity and with security. And my experience in the informal settlements that I visited is that people are not actually experiencing those things. I think there could be some support given to people living in informal settlements to improve their own housing. Rather than, I know that governments tend to want to do these sort of mass housing building projects, and that might be a kind of medium-term solution, but it seems that those communities, at least the informal settlements that I visited, are pretty intact communities. I mean, they're running, they're existing. Some of them had a real vibrancy. And I don't see a reason why their title couldn't be regularized and why they couldn't be offered modest support in the form of loans or grants to improve their conditions. I don't see why the government couldn't invest in basic infrastructure for those communities. I think governments could come in and help pave roads and, ensure that people have access to some basic services. I think that's possible. The reason I suggest that is because I worry about these large-scale building projects that are costly, they take time. A human rights approach really focuses on people, and I think there's a lot of human capital here.
So glad you're still with me. The program is Housing Development. Our Woman Crush this Wednesday is up next. Who do we have as our crush? Let's find out.
Who else deserves to be our Woman Crush this Wednesday? None other than Mrs. Toyin Sani. She is the founder and chief executive officer of Emerging Africa Capital, an African investment banker, lawyer, chartered secretary, stockbroker, and an amazing author. Mrs. Toyin had her tertiary education at the University of Ife. Bagged a Bachelor of Law degree, she moved to the University of Lagos for her master's and continued to Harvard Business School, USA. In 2017, her fascinating business skills and intelligence earned her many awards, including the All-African Businesswoman of the Year and the Pearl Awards CEO of the Year, making her the first woman to emerge winner in the 22-long-year history of the award. This exceptional woman is the chairperson of Women in Finance Nigeria, a non-profit organization where she focuses on advocating for Nigerian women in the finance sector and, of course, a happily married woman. For all these reasons and more, Mrs. Toyin Sani definitely deserves to be crowned our Woman Crush this Wednesday.
What does it mean to set the pace? It's a bold resolve to relentlessly pursue a vision. It's imbibing a culture of excellence. It's unhindered dedication to service, an insatiable thirst for the craft, and the courage to learn and relearn. Setting the pace is beyond four walls. It's beyond an industry. It's beyond numbers. It's building the future. We are setting the pace.
As Nigeria celebrates her 62nd independence anniversary, there is a need to act expeditiously to make housing affordable to all. On that note, I say thanks for watching Housing Development. I remain your housing diva, Fleur Annie. God bless Nigeria.